just things that
take some time making that decision.
Prevent leadership, and I led that way.
Suspensions for all infractions except for
How do you define success for a child?
So I define success for a child as 1 year growth for students who are on track and 1.5 years growth for students who are behind.
I define success with growth. I think we get caught up on vanity metrics. A child is doing algebra in 6th grade and we get so excited about it, but what we don't look at is a child who, let's say it's a refugee, who comes here in kindergarten, can't speak any English, and by 2nd grade, they're pretty proficient. So I define it by growth of the child based on the education that they're receiving.
In my mind, success looks like a child who's curious, engaged, and ultimately becomes a person who is able to contribute and participate in a meaningful way.
Success for a child is really making sure that we as a school district prepare every student to do whatever they want to do with their life.
I think we have to be looking at children as whether or not they've progressed from where they started and whether or not they're able to actually be able to make some decisions on where they want to go after they complete being in Chapel Hill-Carrboro City Schools.
What do you think is the solution for the Glenwood Magnet program?
Well, I think that I can tell you where a starting point could be. I think that a lot of information for the general community to know about the program, what are the benefits of dual language, and really advertising about that to ensure that our lottery pool for any dual language program we have, be it Mandarin or Spanish, is representative of the demographics of our district.
First of all, I think the solution at Glenwood is to come up with a solution that gets rid of the rancor between the communities and the school.
A solution that creates a magnet school within the building that is able to control enrollment and includes both the dual language and the traditional program, which I think is the right solution.
The biggest issue with the Glenwood Magnet program is to make sure that we continue to do it well.
Truly understanding what the parents want for both of those tracks, your traditional and your dual language track.
Racial inequity has been a problem for the CHCCS system. What do you think should be done to address it?
So racial inequity exists across nearly every element of American society. With respect to education, we really have to be intentional about rebuilding structural education in a way that allows it to be accessible for all children. So specifically, we need to be intentional about making sure our teaching demographics represent our student demographics and that we're building a culture of community and climate that welcomes all students and families.
Inequities in the school district have been an ongoing issue for decades and beyond, and it's a national issue and it's a real issue for our school district.
But some of the biggest issues that we have to make sure that we address is that every student is able to see themselves in our program, that they can see why it is valuable for them and how we value them inside that program.
Equity in Chapel Hill, I think we just don't look at it. When you have a default group, it's hard to look outside of yourself or your home group.
And I think there's no one solution that addresses it. In terms of the policies that I want to put forward, the first one is to eliminate outside of school suspensions for all infractions except for bringing a gun to school.
How can board members improve relationship with parents?
Talk to the community. Get out there. I don't think sitting in the boardroom, making recommendations to the district is how you really make impact. I think you talk to the community, you talk with parents, you interact with those people because everyone's vested.
It starts with trust. I think that right now there's a lack of trust within the board, and I think that permeates throughout the rest of the community.
Effective. So trying to make sure that we find ways to make sure that the board is responding to people, including them in conversations at reasonable times, and trying to make sure that that governance is extended to them.
My job as a board member is to serve the community and to serve the families of this district and every single student.
So parents want to understand that the district is working in a way that improves outcomes for all children.
How do you think the board can best serve the district?
I think a lot of what we need to be focusing on is, again, the outcome of the students and whether or not we're doing right by them. Another issue that I'm very passionate about is the mental health of our students.
So ensuring that the actions we take and where we spend our money is all geared towards closing the gap for students, at the same time meeting the needs of every student in the district.
The board can best serve the district by working with every single community in our towns.
Creating spaces for teachers to feel empowered in advocacy and feel supported by their district and their community, as well as transparent communication and accountability on behalf of the board.
Like, we talk a great deal, we write great articles, but I haven't seen the action side of it. So, I think we get all excited about what we've written and our discussions, and no one leaves the meeting with an action item. And if they do, no one does it. So I believe that's the best way the board can really take what our community is asking us, take it back. We're smart people on that board. Figure it out, present a solution that we all can get along with.
What is your favorite book?
I'd probably say my favorite book is The Spy Who Came In From the Cold by John le Carre. I'm a big spy fiction reader, so I've read almost every single one of his books, and The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, I think, is his best book.
My favorite book, wow. Oh, I love to read, so that's kind of a hard one. But I say a book that I go back to a lot is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who is a fantastic, amazing writer.
Okay, I'm going to give you a children's book because I was an elementary school principal until August. So my favorite children's book is Esperanza Rising by Pam Munoz Ryan.
Well, it's tough because the context of what your favorite book can be whether or not you're sitting by yourself and reading it and enjoying that. And a lot of my favorite books a lot of people would probably think are trash, but they're fun and I get to enjoy them. But to be honest, my favorite books have turned into Harry Potter, not just because of the story, but because I got to read it with my son. And being able to engage in a story that I enjoyed, but being able to see it through his eyes and reading with him and making all the voices and trying to help with that, it was the experience of reading the book that I really enjoyed.
That's a hard one for me because it depends on how I feel. The Cooking Gene by Michael Twitty, if you haven't read it, I truly enjoy that book. So if you haven't read it, please read it.